You're watching Power Lunch. This is Bloomberg Quint and I'm Ira Dugal. Let's get you the headlines at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. Border tensions escalate with Pakistan claiming that Indian aircrafts have been shot down. Indian authorities actually deny those claims. We'll bring you the latest that's coming in from sources from PTI and ANI. Indian markets trade with caution as investors react to information flowing through on India-Pakistan tensions. In other news, the Reserve Bank of India has removed 3 banks from the Prompt Corrective Action Framework. Allahabad Bank, Corporation Bank and Dhanlaxmi Bank have exited. India's first retail giant, Kishore Biyani, admits that he missed the e-commerce bus, says he never had the money to board it. That's a Bloomberg Quint exclusive. All right, we're going to go straight to all the news that has been flowing in since the morning on tensions between India and Pakistan. Sajid is here with us to give us a sense of information that's flowing in through different sources. None of this information is directly from Bloomberg Quint. Sajid, what all has happened since the morning?
We don't have an official confirmation from the government of India, but news agencies, PTI, ANI and Reuters have reported that at least 3 Pakistan aircraft have violated Indian airspace, and they were faced with they were resisted by the Indian Air Force, and they returned, and while returning they have dumped their payload in the Indian territory. This has been confirmed by the Pakistan Foreign Office. Subsequently, we have seen some escalation, claims coming in from Pakistan Army spokesperson. We don't have a confirmation yet again on that, but the claims are that they have shot down 2 Indian Air Force aircraft, which has been denied by the Indian Air Force in a comment to news agency PTI, because Indian Air Force has said that they have accounted for all pilots as of now. There is also claims about India shooting down one of the F-16s in POK as of now, and there has been reports of the pilot bailing out in POK area. So that's the scenario as of now. On the ground, the government has decided to shut down frontier airports which are used for civilian, which is Srinagar, Srinagar, Leh, Jammu, Amritsar and Pathankot itself, and Chandigarh are some of the airports which have been shut down for operation as of now. The same has been seen in Pakistan, where the frontier civilian airports have been shut down as well. So we don't have official confirmation from the Indian side yet.
Not an
on-record one, but sources have been telling news agencies, and that's what we are getting information.
Okay, stay with us, Sajid. Joining us on the phone line is Bharat Karnad, Research Professor in National Security Studies, Center for Policy Research. Mr. Karnad, thanks for joining us. From what we have all seen across news agencies, and undoubtedly you've read as well, what do you make of the developments this morning, Mr. Karnad?
No, I think the situation is really very confused, because if you look at what the Indian side has said, it exactly, in a sense, mirrors what the Pakistani side had said about Indian Air Force planes dumping some ordnance, in POK and then scooting out of trouble. Now, and that's what we now claim for the Pakistani combat aircraft. So we don't know. Until the remains of the shot down aircraft that both sides claim they have shot, they've brought down, the Pakistani F-16 and the Indian, the strike Mirage 2000s, we'll never know for sure. At least until, some time passes before the 2 governments get down to acknowledging whatever the losses they have suffered. So it's hard to say. But what I'm surprised by is the kind of escalatory spiral that the 2 countries are getting into. This really is quite dangerous, because and it was unexpected, and one had hoped that the Pakistanis would stop short of not responding with a formal strike or counter-strike sortie that they sent out to the Indian side. So that is a bit of a surprise that a smaller, weaker country has chosen, in a sense, to escalate. Now, I think what they have done is lob the ball right back in India's court to say, now what are you going to do about it? This could very easily get out of control. So I'm not sure. The fact of the matter is they initiated with the terrorist action, we responded. Now they responded to our reaction. In reasonable terms, I suppose India would have to react. And this is where the danger lies, where things get, every little action has a counter-reaction, etc. And you can climb up the escalation ladder very fast. So I hope that doesn't happen. And until more definite information is available about the losses and about the kind of efforts that both countries are undertaking to show the resolve and determination, we won't know for sure.
Mr. Karnad, you have in the last 24 hours, we've seen a lot of international community talking about restraint at both ends between India and Pakistan. Do you think that the actions of today will prompt both the governments to sit on the other side and talk it out?
No, look, in an ideal world that would be the thing to expect to happen. But as I said, in the subcontinent, we all go by emotion and sentiment and, the kind of gut reaction that we all tend to respond with in situations of this kind. Everybody gets all heated up and so on. So this is a time for very cool and calm deliberation on the part of both governments. You cannot afford to just be impulsive and start acting out your worst impulses, as it were. You can't really afford to do that. So let's hope, because that's all we can do, that the two countries and the two governments, Imran Khan government on the other side, the Modi government on this side, do not really get into that matching action-reaction sequence.
Mr. Karnad, I have two specific questions. One, in the statement that came from the Pakistan Foreign Ministry, they said that the sole purpose today, firstly, they said that the Pakistan Air Force undertook strikes across the line of control within Pakistani airspace. They went on to say that the purpose was to demonstrate our right will and capability for self-defense. And then they finally said we have no intention of escalation, but are fully prepared to do so if forced into that paradigm. In some ways, they're following the script of what India did, saying that, we were expecting some action and hence we struck in self-defense. They are doing it from the other side pretty much in similar words.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I said, didn't I? I mean, I started out by saying that this is virtually a mirror statement of just about everything. They are mirroring the Indian action and reaction. And now the question, as I said, they lobbed the ball back in our court and they are waiting to see how we are going to respond. And this is a real problem. I certainly didn't expect Pakistan to do that, but they have. So now they mean to, set themselves as a credible state that means what it says, and that it will not tolerate any kind of incursion into their territory. Now, the fact is, what is the punitive mission then that the Indian government has in mind? Is it going to now say, okay, it's all right now that the Pakistanis have reacted to our response to their initiation of a terror strike? It becomes a very difficult circumstance that you're creating, the two sides are creating for themselves. I really don't know, but I hope, cooler and calmer attitudes prevail. And I also expect that the U.S. and so on will now try and intervene and play the peacemaker. Because I think nobody expected that Pakistan would react as it did. Now that they have, and I think India may again respond with the principle that a punitive strike cannot be responded to. You started it. We then went in with a punitive strike, and you are now countering the punitive strike on the principle of self-defense, which really doesn't hold in international law. So, it becomes very difficult. So, it's hard to predict how this is going to pan out.
Absolutely. Mr. Karnad, a quick word also on the decision to shut civilian airports across North India all the way to Amritsar and also Chandigarh. Advisories have been put out by airlines. Is that precautionary mostly?
Yeah, this is the normal thing. This is a normal standard operating procedure where you close down civilian air traffic over the operational areas, and certainly you shut down most of the civilian airports in the border regions, or airports that are easily accessible by the other side. Assuming that they want to go in for counter-value bombardment. Counter-value is they're trying to get at some value targets and not necessarily military targets. If that happens, that would be a very real and definitive escalation. But I don't expect that, but this is a precautionary measure that any state would take, given the kind of situation they are in right now.
Mr. Karnad, thank you for joining us and sharing your perspective on the events of this morning. We will continue to wait for some official statement from the Indian government. Remember, whatever denials have come through have all come through on the basis of sources to Press Trust India, NDTV and other agencies. An official statement from the Indian side is still awaited. Let's, meantime, just dip in and check in on markets as well. Yatin is here with us. Yatin, how are markets trading this afternoon?
Afternoon, Neera, there is, a sense of nervousness as far as the markets are concerned, and that's clearly reflecting in the volatility index. So the India VIX yesterday also shot up 10%. Today also we are looking at the volatility index, which is almost 15% higher as we speak. The probable level that we saw probably few months back when there was nervousness in the marketplace. So the VIX trading around that 20 point level. Nifty, talking about that, 40 points down. We are probably calmer as a market. If you look at the advance decline ratio also, it has not been that adverse. We have only 2 advances for 3 declines. So the market breadth is not that bad as the markets were fearing earlier in the day. What's doing well is the entire cement pack. Even if you look at the Nifty, Ultratech is the top gainer with 2% gains coming in. Bajaj Auto, Sun Pharma and Axis Bank are the other stocks which are the top gainers at this point in time. And finally, we have companies like Vedanta, Wipro and Infratel slightly nervous. All of these stocks are down anywhere between 2.5% to 3%.
All right, Yatin, thanks for that market check. A brief check on the currency and the bond markets as well. The rupee is trading weaker too. So you've got the rupee actually at intraday trade. It went down to almost 71.40, I think. Pull up the intraday chart because you have seen again here too volatility pick up. Currently trading at about 71.27. So there you go. You can see that spike on the chart when all of these news reports started to come through. Again, some of it would be as information flows through and the situation becomes a bit more clear, markets would self-adjust, but also on days like this, whenever there is volatility because of an unforeseen event, remember, the central bank can always come in and support the markets as it does. On the bond markets as well, you have seen yields going up and currently trading at about 746 on the new 10-year bond. We'll keep you updated to the extent that we can on information coming on this particular front. At the bottom of your screen, various commentary coming in from different countries. We'll continue to bring that, but the most awaited is, of course, any statement out of India. Let's move on for now. After the latest round of PSU bank recapitalization announced by the government, the Reserve Bank of India has decided to remove 3 more banks from the prompt corrective action framework. 2 of these are state-owned. One of them is a private lender, which was due to be removed. Vishnath Nair joins us with the details.
The Reserve Bank of India on Tuesday released Allahabad Bank, Corporation Bank as well as Dhanlaxmi Bank from its prompt corrective action framework. Now, according to a statement by the Reserve Bank of India, both public sector banks, which is Allahabad Bank and Corporation Bank, have recently received a large amount of capital from the central government. Allahabad Bank last week received about 6,900 crore, while Corporation Bank received a little over 9,000 crore as part of the government's recapitalization plan. This capital, according to the Reserve Bank of India, has helped both these banks improve their capital adequacy ratios while also helping them better provide for some of the bad loans that are there on their books. In turn, the net NPA ratio for both of these banks has also improved to above the risk threshold that the Reserve Bank of India has set for PCA framework banks. Because of this improvement, this operational improvement, as well as some of the commitments that the banks have given to the Reserve Bank of India with respect to how they're going to sustain their performance, the Reserve Bank feels, especially the Board for Financial Supervision feels, that both these banks deserve to get out of the PCA framework and continue their businesses without any kind of restrictions that the PCA framework would place on them. As far as Dhanlakshmi Bank goes, its operational performance has been improving consistently according to the Reserve Bank of India. All of its ratios, which is the Common Equity Tier 1 ratio as well as the net NPA ratio, are far below what the risk threshold mandates for a bank to enter the PCA framework, and therefore Dhanlakshmi Bank has also been allowed to let go. Remember that last month, on the 31st of January, the Reserve Bank of India had released Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, as well as Oriental Bank of Commerce from the PCA framework. So all in all, about 5 public sector banks and 1 private bank are now out of this framework and can continue their lending activities without any restrictions that the RBI might be placing.
We caught up with the management of Dhanlakshmi Bank. That's a bank which has been under PCA even before the framework was reviewed in 2017. They've had a long run under restrictions from the Reserve Bank of India. They're finally out of it. Listen into what they had to say about how they strategize their future now.
Increasing our liability products, particularly the CASA, that is the current and the savings, and in our retail asset liability, the asset products, we would like to increase our assets, like particularly our retail assets like housing loans, car loans going forward, and go for slight branch expansion, not too much on a branch expansion, but on a limited branch expansion, so that we are able to ensure that there is a growth of at least 10 to 12% in the next financial year of 1920.
The government has completed the 10th round of city gas auctions. The regulator has allotted 50 areas to 12 entities, and IOC and HPCL have emerged the most successful. So Amit Sarkar joins us with the details.
Well, if you see, PNGRB has allotted the letter of intent for the 10th round of city gas auction, which offers nearly 50 geographical areas covering nearly 124 districts. Now, it has allotted this 50 geographical areas to 12 entities. Now, oil marketing companies like Hindustan, HPCL and Indian Oil Corporation were among the one who have won the most number of areas in the 10th round of city gas auction. Now, they won nearly 9 areas, and Bharat Gas Resources, which is the subsidiary of BPCL, has managed to win only 2 areas. Now, for oil marketing companies, if you see, exposure to city gas distribution sector provides the much required diversification from the cyclical refining and quasi-regulated marketing business. It will also help them tap the future revenues that could have been lost because consumers might switch to cheaper PNG and CNG over LPG and other retail fuels like petrol and diesel. So this is one thing positive that has come in for the oil marketing companies. Now, the auction, if you see, appears to be a great success for Gujarat Gas, also because they have managed to win 6 out of the 7 areas for which they had put in bids. IGL, on the other hand, had placed bids for 15 areas but has managed to win only 3 areas. Now, of these 3 areas, if you see, 2 are adjoining areas, 2 are adjoining to the current operations. So, you see, there is potential synergy benefits that might come in for these 2 areas, while 1 area is a larger area that they have won in the state of Rajasthan. So, that is also one thing positive that has come in for IGL. Now, GAIL Gas, that is a subsidiary of GAIL India, has managed to win only 4 areas, while Adani Gas and its joint venture with Indian Oil Corporation has managed to win only 3 areas in the 10th round of city gas auction. Now, if you remember, in the last round they had won close to 22 areas, and in this round also they had placed in bids for 26 geographical areas, but they managed to win only 3 areas out of this. Now, Mahanagar Gas, if you see, it has failed yet again in this round of city gas auction also to win any area. Now, in the last round they had placed in bids for 3 areas but managed to win none, and in this round they had placed in bids for 2 areas and still has managed to win none of the city gas geographical area in the 10th round of city gas auction.
Samit, thanks so much for that. Future Group doesn't mind being the 2nd or the 3rd player in the Indian retail space, says Kishore Biyani, the founder and group CEO of India's first modern retail chain. He's also candid enough to admit that he's missed the e-commerce bus. But speaking to Menka Doshi at a retail summit in Mumbai, he shared a number of thoughts on this entire story. Listen in.
People get valuation of things they don't understand. So I think e-commerce is not understood. And that's why they are getting valuation.
Please explain.
I think nobody understands that business. The more losses you make, more valuations you get. I can't understand that.
But it's about customer acquisition, and you have to admit that they are doing a reasonable job of customer.
They are acquiring customers. If I look at the sales of Flipkart today, I saw the report. They did around 30,000 crores of business, out of which 65% of the business came out of electronics and mobile phones. So that's 20,000 crores gone. Now balance 10,000 crores of business they did. I think 90% of business must have been done at 40 to 60% discount.
You're complaining about discounts?
I'm not complaining at all.
I remember what Sabse Acha Wednesday. What was the first one that you did?
I think it's not about...
Sasta Wednesday.
I wish and hope we had that kind of money to do Sabse Acha Din in a different way.
You did.
But we never...
Some might say
we never sold below cost price, ever.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 110% sure about it.
1,000% sure you never sold below cost price?
1,100% sure about it, except in the last 2 years.
Except in the?
Last 2 years.
In the last 2 years, you've been selling below cost price.
We are using the digital medium to give discounts in our wallets.
So you're also selling below cost price.
But I'm not giving discounts cash in the hand of the customer.
Sir, if you hold your ear this way or the other way, it's still the same thing.
I think the market scenes have changed. Everybody's getting into predatory pricing. You have to come up. We have come up with our wallet now. We give money in the wallet. But money in the wallet is again going to come to be spent with us only because it's a closed loop wallet.
Correct. And many of these e-commerce platforms are doing very similar strategies.
Nobody has everybody has
open cashback and things like that.
Everybody has an open loop wallet. Every one of them. You can use that money anywhere. In our case, you can use money only in the format in which you got
what if I was to argue, Mr. Biyani, that there was a time when there were such few players in modern retail that there was very little competitive pressure on you. Today, it's the customer who's king, and eventually, it is the foreign giants or the large Indian e-commerce platforms that may be using deep discounting to force players like you to also start thinking of more aggressive pricing.
Fair enough. So
till now,
we have to respond.
Till now, you were sanguine. It's competition that's forced you to do it.
I'm not a purist. I think I will respond to the way consumers want it.
So far, you didn't do it because...
I didn't have the money to do it. I created a wallet to do it now. I was smarter enough to create a wallet so that the money is spent again with me only.
Correct. I'm sure many of them also have similar...
I don't think so. Nobody has that model. Again, I'm reiterating that.
Nobody has a wallet like yours?
Nobody has a wallet which is a closed loop wallet.
Okay. Nobody has a wallet like Mr. Biyani's.
Bridging the divide between the India that's at the frontier of global growth and the India that still uses bullock carts is crucial for the transition of India into a middle-income economy. That's coming in from former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan. In a conversation with Bloomberg, he admits that the election conversation has now shifted away from the economy to security. Listening to a slice of that conversation.
One of the big issues is jobs. We have too many young people looking for jobs and not getting them. And especially when the rural areas aren't doing so well, there are lots of people unemployed there and looking for something from the government. So what we've seen initially is a wave of populist moves from both the government and opposition parties. But now it seems as if, at least for a little while, the pre-election dialogue will move from the economy to security, with the government essentially saying that it has the right genes to lead the country here.
But can India actually really benefit from, I guess, the present that the Fed has done to emerging markets? How can they use foreign direct investment to their advantage?
Oh, well, I think at this point, what India really needs is a second generation of reforms. India is growing at 7%, but that's not really enough to employ the people who are coming into the labor force. And so what we need is another generation of reforms to, for example, prop more foreign direct investment, but also build out the infrastructure that we desperately need, and to employ those people. We're getting 1 million people into the labor force every month. And we desperately need stronger, more labor-intensive growth, which means more manufacturing.
In your book, The Third Pillar, you have the distinction in a chapter of China and India, Neil Ferguson's Chindia, if you will. In Bangalore, in southern India, how does Kashmir play in what you call a chaotic democracy?
Well, I think there certainly is a mood of patriotism which is engulfing the country right now. When soldiers get killed, the country comes behind.
They do come together like in America.
They come together, absolutely. But I think more broadly, what we have in India is many Indias. We have an India which is at the frontier of the world economy, and we have an India where people are still plowing with bullock carts in the fields. And so what we need to do is make the transition from developing economy to middle-income economy. To some extent, I think China had a better system for that kind of movement.
Nehru tried to do it. Various Gandhis tried to do it. Mr. Modi's trying to do it. The McKinsey report of a few years ago was brilliant on this. What is Raghuram Rajan's catalyst to drag an incohesive, inchoate India into more of a one nation?
Well, in one word, construction. if we build out the infrastructure that we desperately need, if we build the roads, the connectivity, if we get the activity around the roads, the villages flourishing because they can now send goods to market, we get a couple of percentage points of GDP growth more. This is how every Asian economy grew. We need to do that. And that's, in some sense, the Chinese economic structure and the Chinese political structure is better capable of doing that. We have a great system to take us from middle income to the frontier, which I think the Chinese system is not as well equipped to do. But we first got to get to middle income.
Well, Professor, what do people misunderstand about China the most? Is it that, the way that the middle income will evolve, or is it more about debt and the way that's being managed?
Well, I think in the short run, it is the fact that there is a pileup of debt, and they're constantly going back and forth on whether they should again press the button, get more credit expansion, get more growth as a result, because they desperately need growth to verify the economic legitimacy of the party. I think in the longer term, I think they really have to debate the role of the party in the system. To my mind, a centralized party with centralized control is not the appropriate system for them to go from middle income to the frontiers. And that's something that they're going to have an active debate over the next few years.
That's a wrap on this edition of Power Lunch. Lots more coming up.